Oh, hey everybody. I'm right now protecting myself from evil. This is a really good metaphor for how protection from evil works because I'm doing work. So think about your body and its health as good. That's something you want. And evil as being disease or anything that's going to disrupt that. By doing this work, I'm actually strengthening my immune system because I'm working out all the systems in my body that need that work. There are parallels to that in how we protect not our bodies, but our spirits from evil. And we're going to show you in this episode 2 of the strongest ways in which you can beef up your spiritual immune system and protect yourself from anything that would harm your soul. If we're going to talk this episode about protection from evil, then we got to talk about where evil comes from. Yeah, let's talk about where evil comes from. And to talk about that, even the evil that you just experienced, even just the negative stuff in your own mind, we got to talk about the afterlife. Because the afterlife and your consciousness are peas in a pod. No, your consciousness is like one pea in a gigantic pod, which is the afterlife, where every human being who's ever lived lives now. So if we're saying you got all these people that at one point lived in the same world that you live in, I don't want to break this to you, but people die. And when they do, the consciousness doesn't die. The consciousness simply detaches from the physical and ends up in the spiritual. So everybody who's ever lived, all different kinds of people, are now living outside the physical box and in the spiritual world. And people are still people. Like, they're still who they were. You don't get your personality wiped. You don't get everything reworked. You're still you. So that means think of all the different kinds of people you've ever known, or all the different kinds of people you've ever heard about on the news. They're all still out there. Some people who, because of what they love, migrate to what Swedenborg calls heaven. Those people are wise, and they are loving, and they're kind. Swedenborg calls those people angels. And they're there, they're in the afterlife. But there's also people who are not kind, who are looking to harm you, or don't care if they harm you, or don't really think about anyone as human other than themselves. Those are what Swedenborg calls, demons or devils or satans, depending on what kind of evil or falsity is controlling your life. So between these two extremes of human life, the loving your neighbor as yourself, loving the Lord above all, versus self-centeredness and materialism, there is this sort of middle ground, this no man's land that Swedenborg calls the world of spirits. And this is where everybody first goes after they die. So you can spend quite a bit of time in this world of spirits, sort of sorting out who you really are and what you really want to follow. Do you want to follow heaven, or do you want to follow hell? Some people are on a good trajectory, some are on a bad one, but it's a mix. It's a mix, and even the good spirits don't really have everything figured out yet. There's a lot of confusion, or a lot of less than perfect clarity here. So you don't know what kind of information you're going to get from here. Sometimes those of us living in the world constantly, those of us living in the world are getting influenced by spirits in the world of spirits. That can come through as thoughts and feelings, according to Swedenborg. All of that stuff is influenced by the world of spirits. But also sometimes you can have the direct experience of a voice coming from one of these spirits. Like, you can hear it in your spiritual mechanism. The problem is it's just like if you're on Twitter and you have no idea if this person who's saying this thing knows what they're talking about at all. So it could just be somebody saying something like it's true, but it's not true. And in the worst case, there's sort of a predatory thing going on, where evil spirits are trying to harm you through the contact with you. This is what Swedenborg says about it in Heaven and Hell. Talking with spirits is rarely allowed nowadays, though, because it is dangerous. The spirits then actually know they're with us. Otherwise, they would not. And evil spirits, by nature, harbor a murderous hatred for us And crave nothing less than, it's a reasonable request, crave nothing less than our total destruction, body and soul. I mean, you don't want to give your location out to that kind of person. Again, you can chase the love for others and love for the Lord all the way to being totally Gandhi-like, I want to help everyone, and you can chase it all the way down into maniacal evil. All those people are in the world of spirits. So because it's such a crapshoot, you want to have a bit of insulation between you and the spiritual world. And the thing that breaks down that insulation is getting too hung up in stuff. From Heaven and Hell 249. This is what actually goes on in people who regularly lose themselves in delusions, even to the point that they lose touch with the pleasures appropriate to their natural person. If you get too wrapped up in anything, it makes the spiritual world too accessible to you. There's a simple way, though, that you can have a robust immune system protecting you from that, and that has to do with getting out and doing stuff. The most effective protection against evil and spiritual influences of any kind is work. It doesn't have to just be physical work, but I'm talking anything that's useful and anything that gets you out of your head. You know, touch grass. You ever hear that? On the internet, there's this thing. If you get too wrapped up in the dialogue and world of the internet, people will say charitably to each other, bro, go touch grass. That means get out of your house and go do something. Those are wise words, internet people. Going out and doing something useful is it's a cure-all for spiritual issues. People who are constantly thinking about religious matters, so wrapped up in them that they practically see them within themselves, also begin to hear spirits talking with them. This is because when we voluntarily get wrapped up in religious matters, no matter what kind, without the interruption of various useful activities in the external world, these matters enter into us very deeply and take substance there so that they occupy our whole spirit, move into the spiritual world, and affects spirits there. You can have too much religious stuff. You can be thinking too much about theology and even God and angels and all that. You can do that sometimes, but you got to get out and do some work. Otherwise, you get too in your head, which is too spiritual, and it messes up the balance, and you get crazy about stuff. Getting so laser focused on anything, even theology, can get you in touch with what Swedenborg calls fanatical spirits. Fanatical spirits see false things as true. And because they see them as true, they convince themselves and also convince the people into whom they flow. That spiritual influence is why people can get so adamantly convinced of false ideas. Work interrupts that pattern because it just breaks that spell. If, however, you feel like you're getting too wrapped up in your thoughts or even having some kind of I feel like a spiritual influence is telling me to do something, one big red flag is if anything spiritual is ever telling you you have to do something. That's a deal breaker. Since spirits like this who command obedience have also begun to urge people to do evil things, they have gradually been moved away. Fanatical spirits can be differentiated from other spirits by the fact that they believe they are the Holy Spirit and that what they are saying is divine. A lot of people say, well, the Holy Spirit told me to go do this. It doesn't mean it was really the Holy Spirit. Anything that's asking you, you have to do this thing, especially if it's causing trouble in the rest of life, that's sus, as the kids would say. Positive spiritual influences, angels, the Lord through heaven, it's always gentle and non-controlling. But even then, there's a limit to how much of that interaction you should be doing. There are some people who lead solitary lives who sometimes hear spirits talking with them without risk, but the Lord keeps these spirits a little space away so that they do not know they are with these individuals. Most spirits, you see, are not aware that there is any other world than the one they are living in, or therefore that there are people anywhere else. So we are not allowed to talk back to them, since if we did, they would know. Basically, it all boils down to stay grounded. Stay grounded in the world, and you do that through regularly doing work, through doing useful things that benefit others, that get you out of your head, you keep the right balance with heaven and the world of spirits so that you can be a functional, protected, happy human being. The second protection against evil we're going to talk about in this episode is the truth. Deeper truth makes you less of a target. So, for example, if somebody is going to try to scam you and they're going to say, this is the IRS, what we need you to do is go scratch off some gift cards and read us the number into the phone. You can get taken by that unless you know that government agencies don't accept gift cards and the IRS doesn't contact you over the phone. There's certain things you can know about how things just work that make it so evil can't get a foothold to deceive you and get you to believe things that aren't true and make you miserable. Knowing good quality truth about God is a protection against evil in all its forms, including the influence of false or evil spirits. And the other bonus of knowing the truth is the more truth and goodness that you have in your mind, the more you are connected to good spirits and angels in the afterlife, and those are not dangerous at all to interact with or talk to. Swedenborg put it like this: conversation with angels is not granted except to people who are focused on truths that flow from good intent, especially people who acknowledge the Lord and the divine nature within his human nature, because this is the truth in which heaven exists. So heaven can exist inside of truths. In particular, the Lord's divine nature that flows through heaven, that truth is all about, is loving God, goodwill toward the neighbor. Love for all is who God is. The more you understand that, the more you start seeing life through that prism, the less negative thoughts and feelings can get you down. Swedenborg puts it another way here. Conversation with angels is not granted except to people whose deeper levels have been opened by divine truths all the way to the Lord, since it is into these that the Lord flows within us. And when the Lord flows in, so does heaven. So truths, you go out and learn these spiritual things, is like a little funnel that lets God in. It lets that love for the human race in. And having that coming into you naturally puts you in touch with the good side of the spiritual world. So any spiritual influence, whether it's thoughts and feelings, whether it's voices that come to you in that state of mind, is going to not be dangerous. It's going to be helpful. It's going to help you connect to what's good and what's true. So that's why it's so important to seek out truth and learn it and weigh it in your mind and really let it settle deep into you, because that truth is like a magnet for everything that is good and helpful, and it repels everything that is false and harmful. Swedenborg warns about the risks of having too much direct interaction with the spiritual world. But he also says that in an ideal scenario, we're meant to have pretty open communication. The reason divine truths open our deeper levels is that we have been so created that our inner person is an image of heaven and our outer an image of the world. And our inner person is opened only by the divine truth that emanates from the Lord, because this is the light and the life of heaven. The more that you do good work and pursue the truth to live by, the more you create the conditions in you for heaven to encounter you. Once you and heaven are talking, that pushes away what's harmful, leads you to the good life, and that is the best spiritual protection you can get. You're heavy.